refine a knowledge question, it can be challenging. So in this video, you will actually see me go through the process of refining some questions. I even paint myself into a corner at one point. Hopefully by seeing me go through the process and facing a few challenges, you will feel better prepared as you go through the same process with your own knowledge questions. So let's get started. So just like you, I have prepared a list of questions that I would be interested in answering. I've got 3 of them that I'm going to start with. But even as I look at these 3 questions, I can tell the first one isn't going to work. It's not about knowledge, it's about the purpose of natural sciences. So I am just going to strike that one out. That leaves me with a question about methodologies and also a question about sense perception and valuation. The sense perception and valuation one seems really long, so I'm going to go with the first one instead. The first thing I need to consider as I go through this refinement process is this question about knowledge? Well, it says it's about methodologies, which I know methodologies is part of the knowledge framework, but when I really look at the question is about methodology. It's not about knowledge, not directly, not explicitly. So that's a problem. I am going to have to rephrase this question. But I think rephrasing it shouldn't be hard. I just need to find a way to put the word knowledge in. And since knowledge is a noun, I need some verbs. So let's try what methodologies are used to produce and share knowledge in the natural sciences. That seems good. Okay, it is now a question about knowledge. All right, so what's my next step? Okay, I need to find out, is the question open-ended? So I know open-ended questions are questions that can be answered in a variety of different ways. So can this question be answered in a variety of different ways? Not really. No, this question can only be answered with a list. So that makes it a closed question. Now I have to rephrase it again. So to avoid something that is a closed question, I'm going to avoid using the word what or who or when. It's much better to use questions like how or why, to what extent, or to what effect. I'm going to use how for this. It's pretty straightforward. How are methodologies used to produce and share knowledge in the natural sciences? Okay, so again, it is a question about knowledge, and now it is open-ended. Let's do the next check. Is the question about the following? Production, communication, acquisition, evaluation, valuation, and application. Yeah. I even use the word produce and share. I would say produce is production and share is communication. So yes, my answer is yes. Great. That's gold for us. We do not have to rephrase this one. Okay, but if it didn't have one of those focuses, it would be considered too broad and we would have to rephrase. Okay, but we don't have to rephrase because it is about production and communication. So, what is the next step in refinement? Is the question about more than one of the following? Production, communication, acquisition, evaluation, valuation, application. Yes it is. Is that a good thing? No. Oh man, no, that's not a good thing. Okay, so the problem with this is produce and share are such big concepts in and of themselves, it is still too broad. We need to have a knowledge question that is focused on one of those verbs or one of those aspects, not multiple. I think that's easy enough to edit though, so we can rephrase. Sharing's interesting, but I'm more interested in the methodologies and the production of knowledge, so let's just chop it down. How are methodologies used to produce knowledge in the natural sciences? Okay, it is a question about knowledge, it's open-ended, it's focused on only one of those concepts. Great, let's move on. Can you answer the question with at least 2 different claims? Maybe? Okay, this is the hard part. I know the methodologies, scientific method, there are ones that focus on verification. There's the system of coherence. Does the first one answer how? No, it answers what. So does the second one, so does the third one. What do I even mean by how are methodologies used to produce knowledge in the natural sciences? How are they used? They're methods. They're used like any method is. I don't think I'm interested in actually answering this question. I think I was more interested in the what part and investigating the what's, not how. So even though this question seems to be good now for all those other questions, I can't answer it, and I'm not really interested in trying to answer it because I'm kind of confused myself by this question. Great. I just painted myself into a corner. What am I going to do? Okay, I can really slog through this and work it into something, or I can go back and look at that other question I asked. Okay, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back. What was that question, the other one I asked? I asked, in the natural sciences, to what extent is sense perception necessary in the valuation of knowledge? All right, let's test it. Is it a question about knowledge? Yes, it's about the valuation of knowledge. Good. Is it open-ended? To what extent? Yeah, so I'm going to have to look at the different extents. That's a little bit tricky because I have to have something measurable in the end, but yeah, it's an open question. So next is a question about one of these things. Yes, it is about valuation. So not evaluation. Evaluation is the analysis of the knowledge. Valuation is deciding if knowledge is valuable. And yes, this question is about that. Cool. And it's only about that. Nothing else is thrown in there. It has a focus, one focus. It's not too broad. This was where we got stuck last time. Can I answer this question with at least 2 different claims? You know what? I think I can, because this is about the philosophy of what makes knowledge valuable for a community of knowers. And I know there are a bunch of different philosophies about that. And I'm sure some of those philosophies are more dependent on sense perception than others. So I'm going to look through my notes to make sure I get this right. And then we'll try this. Okay, I think I did it. So the question is, in the natural sciences, to what extent is perception necessary in the valuation of knowledge? Well, scientists ascribing to the philosophy of logical positivism view sense perception as essential in the valuation of knowledge. This claim suggests the extent is absolute. Another claim is scientists ascribing to coherentism place more value on reason than sense perception during the process of valuation. Although obviously sense perception will play a role in terms of gathering data, the actual valuation, the deciding the value of a piece of knowledge, is not so much based on the empiricism of the first one. It's more based on reason. I think once this develops out, both of these claims answer this question, can be used to explore this question in quite a nuanced way. So are there any more steps in this refinement of knowledge questions? Last step, ask someone to read your question and ask them to explain to you what they think the question is asking. Listen, do not prompt or correct them. It's not easy, but okay. I'm going to do that. All right, I'm going to call my sister because my cats do not make a good partner for this. Okay, that was successful. My sister does not have the technical theory of knowledge terminology, but she was able to explain what she thought the question was asking, and it was definitely correct. She wasn't too confused other than by the word valuation, which I had to define for her. Big sister skills. But ultimately, she was able to understand this question and explain it back to me, so I think this is a solid question. Yay! All right, I managed it. Okay, so now that we have a refined knowledge question, I could proceed with the next step. You, however, are going to take your list of knowledge questions and go through this process. I have linked in the lesson a PDF that has a graphic that takes you through the map. It maps the process and it gives you the tasks you need to do if the question isn't successful for that step. Head back to the lesson to get started on today's activity. Thanks for watching.